All right. So finish up this year, when you pause and like, all right, document what you did good, what you didn't do good, and what just flat out ugly, you never want to do it again. All right. So the good, bad, and ugly. I think it was a Clint Eastwood movie that my dad made me watch multiple times as a kid. All right. So, in your business, things that you did really well that you want to repeat. You need to then study. Don't just say, hey, we got a victory there. You need to study, why did it work so well? What did I do right? Okay. The things that you didn't like that went bad, but you can't get rid of them. You need them in your systems. Find out why they went bad. Was it a staff? Was it communication? Was it training? Did you meet too many times but didn't train them? And did you not hold them accountable? And things that are ugly, meaning you got to rip them out of your business. You never want to do them again. Those are things you want to go through. And then I'm going to hit 7 topic points that you need to really box these into to be a great entrepreneur, business owner, any field, but particularly when it comes to dealing with martial arts and fitness and gyms. Okay. So, one, everything lives and dies in your business by sales. And most people don't understand sales. They think sell is I got to collect a dollar from somebody. Okay. I don't sell it unless I collect a dollar. But selling is a form of influence. So if I'm teaching martial arts on the floor, I am selling that kid on loving martial arts. I'm selling that kid to learn why it's important to learn how to spar. I'm selling that kid on why it's important to learn how to use the weapon or learn how to do a takedown or get out of a chokehold or whatever it is. I'm selling that kid to love it so he stays focused in his martial arts long enough so I can convert him into the martial artist that we know he can, and also for him to become a black belt one day. All right. So, these are things that make sure I hit this button real quick, everybody. These are things that it's not just I'm collecting a dollar. So like change perspective, and that's something you got to train your team on. Because a lot of times people hear the word sales and they think that it's not selling unless you collect money. Selling is influence. The next thing is too, for my instructors, and when you talk to your instructors, sometimes the sell, meaning to get them to wherever from A to B, then for it to convert to money in the business can take years, can take years. So don't think it's, hey, if I do A today, tomorrow they're going to give me X amount of money. Sometimes it's like you have to treat them so good, which you should do anyway, right? Like for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, 5 years before they finally pull the trigger for the next thing. So don't give up so easily. Okay. But you really need to deep dive into understanding the sales process and then ask yourself the question, does my team only think of sales in signs of dollars, or do they understand influence, and how are we doing that right? Okay. Um, One of the things you guys will see, we'll have a separate call if you guys are interested in learning some of the systems that we're implementing with our martial arts schools. But we have built-in sales based on promotions, ranks. So they have to literally earn their way into the program instead of being sold an upgrade. They earn their way to the upgraded program by performing well and earning belts, which they have to obviously pass the test into, and there's a qualification. And the reason why I think that's important is because it is a form of selling more organically, because it's definitely influenced based on that instructor doing a great job on the floor, converting a kid to a martial artist that has to move up in rank, and then it's built in. That's just expected because that's the only process moving up. Okay. So we'll go through that if you're curious about that. When you're learning in martial arts, how to spar, when you're learning in martial arts, how to do a kata, a form, what you don't do, at least if you're a good teacher, is you don't say, put the gear on, fight, right? Because that's how I learned. Anybody else learn that way? Okay. Just put the gear on and get beat up by your dad. That's how I learned. And then after crying for a couple of times, you figure out like, okay, I don't like crying anymore. I don't like getting kicked in the head anymore. Let me figure out how to put my hands up. Probably not the best way you run your business. And so same thing for katas. Like you don't watch somebody on stage and be like, okay, I'm gonna learn that tomorrow. And so typically it's kind of like paint by numbers. So if you learn how to spar, first you learn all the kicks and punches and stuff. Then you learn some strategy. Then you put on some equipment. Then you do some drills, and it's kind of like back and forth. Then you learn some strategy, and then you kind of test it out, right? And then you get kicked in the head and figure out putting hands up. And then with katas, you learn sections. You learn the movements first, then you put sections together, then you combo them together, then you put combos together, and now you got a routine. Well, sales is the same way, guys. So if you're having a hard time teaching what an actual sell is, you have to show people and tell them, right? Show them and tell them. And then that's what scripts exist for. You do not want your staff having a script forever. A script is the paint by numbers until they can do it on their own. And what you want them to learn is not how to learn a kata only by A, B, C. You want them eventually to not have a blueprint and they can make their own blueprint. And so just think about how you teach martial arts is how you should teach sales. Okay. Um, like anything in life, when it comes to anything, if you can't measure it, you can't get better at it. And so how do you measure that? So if you're the salesperson in the business, your business thrives based on your appointment calendar. And so if I look at your appointment calendar, my business, just so you know, what we did is at 12 o'clock every Wednesday, all our sales managers were on a meeting. Okay. We had one group chat. We had 20 plus sales managers in this group chat. We all get on a call on Wednesday and everybody would have their appointment calendar. And we'd look the next week. We're not looking at this week. And per location they operated. So I had average sales manager had 2 locations they worked in. They'd have 20 appointments on the calendar by Wednesday noon for the next week. So they had to schedule 40 if they were working 2 locations. Okay. Now, those appointments consisted of someone's first lesson, somebody's closing opportunity, a student's upgrade opportunity. So when you have 200 students and your goal is, I'm back. Can you see me, guys? I lost my video there. When you have the opportunity for, let me blow this up, make it bigger. I don't like the way my screen looks right now. Somebody's trying to call me and it pulled up on here. Bam. All right. And so I love technology. Sometimes it does exactly what I want. Sometimes it doesn't. Perfect. All right. So when we looked at their appointment calendar and they have 20 and 20, what this means, you have 200, let's say you have 100 students, I'll make it easier. 100 students. At 100 students, if 10 to 20% was the upgrade target, 20% typically was our goal. Okay. But let's say 10%. I'm giving you guys like just the easiest of easy numbers. That means 10 people of that school should have an appointment. And so if you had 2 schools, that would be 20. So that's half a week already. Half a week's already done right there. Okay. You just have to find 20 appointments that are between your first lessons and somebody's closing opportunity. And so that's literally, if you do it, just you're good at your job. That's just 10 people coming in between 2 schools that you're going to close that week. It gets pretty simple. And remember what we talked about yesterday, always, 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 or nevers. And so every time I do an appointment, if I say, hey, who do you know? Even a current student. And so if I have 20 appointments at one location and I fight hard to get all 20 to show up, knowing probably they won't, but let's say all 20 show up, those 20 appointments should turn into at least 10 more the following week on top of whatever marketing, on top of whatever advertising, right? So it actually is one of those things. Once you get momentum, it's easier just to keep the momentum. Once you have momentum, it's easier just to keep the momentum. And what most people do is they never know how to get the momentum to start with, okay? So just understand and recognize that it's not that difficult once you get momentum just to keep it. And that's something you massively want to fight for, is find how to get momentum in your business and keep it, okay? All right. Okay, next. So sales, check. We got to focus on that. Got to get better at that. We have to understand what it is. Next is lead generation. Went and visited Curtis last week. One of the things he asked me was like, how do we, if that's the goal, was 20 appointments, 15, whatever the number is, how do we create leads, right? And so typically this, in your location, you pay for attention in 2 ways. Either you get prime real estate and you're getting attention because you have prime real estate, which means you're paying a premium, or you have okay real estate and you pay for attention by advertising and spending time marketing. And so if you have a salesperson in your school, even if they can step on the floor, which they should be able to, and they need to, because they need to have the relationships built with all the students and the families. But if you have someone dedicated for sales, you're primarily paying them for marketing and selling second. Marketing is more important than selling. Why is marketing more important? You could have best of class marketing, half rate product, and make a lot of impact and money in your business. Why is that? Think about this. Best known beats best product, and I want to be both. Best known is, what's the best soda out there? What's the best known soda? And typically they're not the same. People even call them Cokes, even though it's a cola, right? So just understand, like people say, hey, give me a Red Bull, because they've done so good about, they were the first in the place of, and I don't even like the Red Bull, right? I want another brand of energy drink. And think about, you call them Band-Aids. That's a name brand. That's not actually the Band-Aid that you want. There's so many people have done a great job of marketing themselves that's what we think of when we think of something. And so what if you could market yourself where anybody thinks about anything when it comes to child development or martial arts, you're the only option, because that's all they know. And so if I have a salesperson in my business, some of you guys are that role, your main responsibility is lead generation. And it's just a math equation. And you need to put a face in front of someone, because that's different than a digital ad. We got to get away from calling Facebook marketing. It's not Facebook marketing, it's Facebook advertising. You're paying them to do it. And those leads are not quality leads typically. You're getting low-hanging fruit. You are paid to market, and that is different than advertising. That's more important than almost anything in your business, because the selling part gets easier when you have volume. Let's think about just simple math. You have 10 leads in your system. Okay, let's be real. Of 10 actual leads you get in your system, what's the likelihood you sign up 10? Very likely that you don't. 10 leads probably converts to one student, maybe, if zero sometimes. So if I go and meet 5 people a day or 10 people a day or 20 people a day, let's just say you can meet 10 people a day and you get their name, their email address, their phone number, and they're a perfect fit for your product. They're part of your perfect customer platform. You meet 10 people a day, and let's just say you don't want to work 6 days a week. You don't want to work 7 days a week. You're like, man, I want to work 5 days a week, and that's it. That's 50 people you meet. They meet you. What's different is because they see a digital ad, they don't know who that person is. How many of you guys scroll on Instagram or Facebook already today? You saw some ads. Anybody see ads on Facebook or Instagram today? Okay. You need to shop ads intentionally. When I was in Vegas last week, when I was in Phoenix right before that, I went and pulled up ads for all the competitive schools. And I clicked on links. I'm seeing how they follow up with me. I'm testing the market. So if I met 50 people in a week and they see my name, they make a connection, I do the follow-up game, and I'm just really good at marketing, I stay in front of them. Those 50 people have a harder time saying no to a person they see than they have to some fake Facebook ad or auto bot that's going to hit them up. 50 people play the follow-up game. Likelihood you get 10 of those to sign up, high. And so just sign up 40 students a month and see what happens to your business. Sign up 40 students a month and see what happens. Could anyone do that for 12 months and actually handle the volume? That's 500 new members this year. Could you handle it? You couldn't handle it. And I'm going to tell you the truth that nobody will ever do in the martial arts space, because they just don't have the first thing I told you guys in Vegas. Anybody remember the very first thing I said in Vegas you have to have as a business owner? Anybody remember that? Sarah, tell me what it was. The very first thing I said.
Belief.
You have to have belief. You have to have belief that you're going to get there no matter what, and have the invisible progress happening, just like stretching. You can't see it, right? Like, so nobody has this kind of belief. There's only one crazy mofo out there who might do something this is crazy. Here's the crazy thing. Hire 4 people to run your martial arts school. 1 instructor. He better be fucking awesome. Hire 3 salespeople. Pay him commission only. If they are skilled and trained and highly incentivized. How about this? Imagine I hire Brett, and I hire Curtis, and I hire Matt. Got 3 men on my team. Okay, Sarah, I'm sorry, we're kicking Sarah out. I'm going to teach all the classes, guys. I'm going to teach the classes, so that way when you're talking to someone, you know, hey, you don't have some gray belt on the floor type thing. Okay, you got someone who's an expert, 40-year history of martial arts. So when you're selling, you're not having to bullshit someone. Okay, imagine you got me that you're teaching. 3 of you guys are going to sell, commission only, and I'm going to pay you $100 cash for every sign up you get, and every time you hit 10, the number doubles. So meaning, and by the way, and it's retroactive. So if you sign up 20 people, you actually get 200 per person signed up. If you sign up 30, you get 300 a person. You sign up 40, you get $400 a person. So if you personally could sign up 40 people in a month, 40 times $400, you'd make $16,000 if you can do that. Everybody with me? And I give you permission to sell it at any price point, as long as it's a 12-month program, and as long as for whatever I pay you. So if you think you're going to sign up 40, you have to at least collect that much money up front. And you can sell any price point. You could change the membership anytime you want to. It's got to be a 12-month program. Everybody with me? You make it up on the fly. I don't care. You have any program you sign them up for, they've got to fit our demographic, obviously, right? You got to do your job well. If you sign up 40 people, you make $16,000. Okay. So Matt, Brett, and Curtis, anybody would like to make 16 grand in the month of October? It's okay. Okay. Now, if you sold it, if I paid Matt the 16 grand because he signed up 40 people and he only collected the $400 a person, How much money did I make? Anybody know how much money I would make? I'd make zero. I'm giving away all the money. And then Brett signs up 40. I gave him the 16. And then Curtis signs up 40. And I gave him the 16. I made no money and I have 120 new members. I ain't mad. Because guess what's going to happen on the next month? Okay. That's $50,000 of revenue that's going to hit my bank account that they don't get because they only get when they sign somebody up. So they're hungry again. Now what's going to happen is Matt signed up 40 people. Brett signed up 4 because he ain't hungry. And Curtis signed up 20. So on month 2, Brett's gone. Matt's hungrier because he's like, 16 is good. How about 20? Curtis is getting competitive. 3 or 4 months into this thing, like I'm at a point where I don't know how to even handle the volume. Now, the reason why that would work is because that's exactly what the gym business does. They sign up before they open hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands. Now, we don't need that many people to make money. But the reason why you guys struggle to get 6 new signups or 8 new signups or 12 new signups is because volume. You don't have the lead generation going on. You don't have no attention, no accountability towards lead generation because you're paying Facebook or someone to do Facebook for you. And you think it's marketing when that's called advertising. And if you have a salesperson, your salesperson is marketing first, selling number second, because you can't sell what you can't get attention for. And all I need a salesperson for is attention. Attention. And if I have 1,000 leads and Brett has 100 leads, who's going to win? And so think about this. You remember the 50 call thing, guys, last week? I make 50 calls. Is anyone smart enough here that's willing to talk about this? If I make 50 calls and Sarah makes 50 calls, who wins? She makes 50 calls, I make 50 calls. Who's going to win? It is a trick question, by the way. And I'll give you the answer. The person who's going to win between her isn't the person with the better script, isn't the person with the better skills. It's the person with the better leverage. She's calling 50 prospects. I'm calling to hire 50 salespeople to make their 50 calls. Compound that. So Matt can make 50 calls in his business, but what if he has 5 ladies there? They all make 50 calls apiece. So like, you got to start thinking about, why am I not getting enough signups? Because you're not putting attention on lead generation and attention because you don't even know where your people are. It's not that hard. Okay. It should be the number one responsibility in your business. Okay. All right. Next. So just understand lead generation is a responsibility. That is the number one focus, grabbing attention. Okay. Which then leads to customer acquisition. How do we actually get these people to convert to students? If we get attention, the things that you should be researching right now is, what is your onboarding process? What do you like? What's good? What's bad? What's ugly? What do you like in your onboarding? What do you hate? What do you got to get rid of? I know this is something that I've never had the perfect system. I know what I want to do. I haven't had the autonomy to do it in the past or the resource to do it. But I believe 100% in every time I bought something of significant value, every time I invested in my kids of significant value. Most people are really good about loving you in the first week, and they forget about you because they're on to the next sale. It's no different. I know if I go join any of y'all schools, you probably would love me the first week or 2, and after that, you kind of just knew I'm there. What if we continue that service as far in the future that makes sense? Because there is a point where you've got to have to hand the reins over and let them, not be on their own, but let them mature. I believe at least 90 days is where it should be. And then every time they start something new in their structure of their program, it should kind of restart. So what does that mean? The first 90 days they join your business, what do they not know? There's a lot of stuff they don't know that you're going to assume they're going to find out along the way, which is what happens if they're late to class? What if they miss class? How does bell testing work? How do they pay for things? What if they want to go to do something besides martial arts? All these things that they're going to learn as they go, which frustrate you. What if through the 90 days, you hand walk them through everything? How would you automate that? How would you personalize that? How would you let them know how to communicate with you? And then they join your next level program. That 90 days should start over again. And the reason why sometimes you guys get people to black belt testing and they're like confused about how the process is going to work is because you're waiting too long to communicate. You're hoping that your staff gets it to them. Or maybe your staff doesn't know the process. So your onboarding process, when you get the attention, you got the lead generation going on, you finally get appointments, and then you finally get them to actually become a customer. What is your process? And are you calculating how much you're spending with time and money to acquire that customer? Okay. Next, these are the things you should be verifying, fact checking, going through, documenting what you liked about this year and whatnot. Okay. Implementation of your scaling or your systems that you have to, and scaling isn't always about more locations or more people. Scaling could literally be automation inside your business so you have more time back than focus on something else. Okay. So, what are some of those things? Maybe that 90-day process can be automated. What about making sure that your class plans and curriculum is automated so your staff's not guessing? What about your actual training? I think to me, you guys are meeting and not training. And then you're training with no really goals in sight. So where is your systems in place that you're happy with? And I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna keep using this thing what Elon does. How do you remove things to make it more efficient so you get the same result with less energy and less time? Because ultimately the only thing you can pay people is give them more time or give them more money. And there will be a point where you can't give enough. Okay. I got 3 more things for you guys. Next, mindset. Okay. And I'm going to have parentheses. Mindset for me is heart, soul, energy. It's not just mind. I think we use that word too easily. But one, you're the owner. Where's your mindset? Are you still hungry? Are you depressed? Have you lacked belief because you've been smacked in the face by the world too much? Where's your mind? Because your staff and your students are a byproduct of your energy. I was at Sarah's location last week and I could tell her students, it just happens so much all the time. Her students are a mimic of her. They're a mimic of her energy. She has more girls than most martial arts schools. They're a mimic of her energy. They're a mimic of her personality. And so her lid is going to determine the business success. So which means the person at the top, guess what? You got to stay in growth mode. And you should document what you like about yourself, what you don't like about yourself, where your flaws are, where your weaknesses are, and where your strengths are, and how do you get stronger at your strengths, and how do you recognize when you're in cycles. Okay. And I will tell you this, everything in life that I've set a big, bold target for, 10x level, that really motivated me, encouraged me, scared me, I either got them or got damn close. And so be very cautious about the words you use. When you claim things, typically they'll come true. Okay. Whether you believe in manifesting or not, somehow the world really will put something that's important to you. You claim it, you tell the world about it, you don't keep it to yourself, somehow it falls into you. Okay. 2 more. Kind of talked about lead generation, number 1 responsibility of your salesperson or anybody in your business, and AKA the owner, marketing. So let's talk about branding and marketing. Where are you loving what you're doing on branding? What are you doing that you love about your marketing? Where are you wasting your energy because you're not getting to the perfect customer? You're just doing things for ego and pride. And then what about your personal brand? Matt does the best job of anybody on this call right now of personal brand. He's got podcasts and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I thought he was some famous dude, apparently. He might be, I guess. And then how does it tie into what you're doing? Okay. I do not do a great job of this personally. I need to do better. Mainly because there was a few years where I intentionally was like, hey, I want my businesses to exist without my name and image. So I completely removed me as a branding. And that was a mistake. It was a mistake because I wasn't preparing for when I'm not doing that. And so if you don't like being in front of the camera, that's fine, but you got to find a way to have some personal branding as the owner of the business, because there will be a time where you're going to do something different. Okay. And then your actual business. How's your branding? What's the storytelling? When you walk in, is the storytelling being told through the actual actions on the floor? How well do you feel like you're doing this? How often are you out in the space and you see your brand somewhere else? Okay. So visual identity, does it connect together? I looked up this beautiful school in Vegas when I was there. The marketing was awesome. The advertising was awesome. It grabbed my attention. And then I go look on their stuff and they're called like, Viper or something. I don't know, and it snake's their logo, and it's called, but their name of their handle was Family Martial Arts, and their ads were all Family Martial Arts, and I see a snake. I don't really go together. Okay. Nothing wrong with snakes other than that I don't like them, but it just doesn't go with family martial arts. Okay. So what's your branding and marketing? Last, businesses live and die with sales, and it does take money to make money. And so then what about your capital and your funding? Do you need to leverage money to grow? When would you decide that? For me, it's when I know that my product's in the right place. I feel like I've got all the bugs worked out, and then I know I can get there faster if I have to take on some capital. Then it's time to do it. When it's not time to do it, when Aaron screwed up in the past, is I took on capital when I wasn't good. And guess what you do when you have money and you're not good at the product? You use money to mask a problem. And then guess what you do with that problem? Massive. And so I'll tell you how this happens when you're young, at least for guys. I'm not sure about girls, but guys, like getting ready to buy that first car. And you're either a truck guy or a sports car guy. You're kind of one or the other. I'm both, but it kind of depends on the season of life. And you're looking at that Corvette or the Mustang, whatever it is, and like you don't want the like. First of all, if you buy a six-cylinder Mustang, it's not a Mustang. They should call it something else. Okay, like, but when you're looking at GTs Plus or whatever the next level is, now they've got a Corvette coming out with 1,100 horsepower. You're looking at these cars. By the way, you're like 18 years old, 17 years old, which you don't need none of that stuff. Okay, you're gonna wrap it around the trees. What you're gonna do? But like you're so in love with the idea of the person that drives that car, the version of you in the future, that you overlook, like you'll figure out how to pay for it regardless. What you don't think about is that you're thinking about, man, look at what kind of girl I'm gonna pick up in this car. You ain't gonna have no girl because you got no money because all your money's going for insurance and car, and you're living in a not even a trailer. You're living in a car because you got $1,100 car payment and you're 17 years old. What the hell's wrong with you? Okay. Guess what? When you're 43, you still make those same decisions because you're still that 17-year-old kid. You still get excited when you see a house or a car or something, the shiny object syndrome. And so your ability to discipline yourself, to pay the price now so you can pay any price in the future. And so don't take on capital or leverage until you've got it figured out and you know where you're going to go. The only person you guys should be trying to impress is not some girl or your mama or your kids or your students. I'm going to tell you, the only person you should be trying to impress is the future version of yourself, because that's the person you need to be happy with. And by the way, sometimes your students will almost demonize you if you show up in too nice of a car. You pull up in a G-Wagon, they're like, oh, okay. What are you teaching my son's class for? They didn't know I owned 20 plus karate schools and I just like teaching martial arts. But they'll demonize you. They'll think that you don't care, that you're only what? For the money. Well, no shit. It's called business. The money does matter because guess what? It is a currency that makes the world go round because it's called currency. Think about the word currency. It flows. So you better make some money. Otherwise, it's called charity. Most of you guys are not doing this for charity. So these are things that you need to evaluate and what you love, like, hate, what you need to improve on. Okay. All right. Last thing for me. As you guys get ready for holiday sale, what tends to happen is sometimes you get so focused, and this is for anything, I'm just using this for example, is sometimes you get so focused on one thing right now that the 7,000 other things that entrepreneurs got to be focused on kind of fall by the wayside. And you should have a priority list. But when you have the burden as the owner to have all these things, but when you dump this down to your staff and they feel overwhelmed, no action moves forward in your business. There's no forward progress. There's no progress. You become stagnant and then you start dying slowly and don't recognize it. So I would say that you need to prioritize what is the main thing, and you almost plant a flag, and that's what you're going to focus on your business. And you have the burden of focus on those other things, which is staff development and retention and all these things. So just be cautious that when you feel financial pressure and stress as the business owner, and you're probably going to feel that forever because listen, I guarantee Bill Gates still feels that. Okay. What I mean by that is because he's taking bigger swings. He's playing a different game than we are. Just like when you were starting or just where you are now, the pressure of that doesn't go away. Because when you think you have enough money to weather any storm, but you're taking bigger swings. I mean, Elon just caught a rocket out of the sky the other day, which is pretty badass, right? And what I saw is like in 2019, that was a dream. In 2024, it's a reality. And our government hadn't figured it out in 50 years. And then he comes out the other day. If you guys did y'all see the robots walk out? And I saw it compared to the movie I, Robot with Will Smith. And the taxi and the cab, the big taxi van and the cab and the robots all look like they're from that movie. And Elon's that crazy dude that's like, man, what if that was in a movie? Because he's like, he made the flamethrower from Spaceballs and all this kind of, like, he's a crazy dude. He's taking some big swings. He's going to miss. He's going to miss. But he's not resting. He's not playing for protecting a lead. He's not the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. Mark my words. I bet 100K right now. And this is documented and recorded. Yesterday in Atlanta, Georgia, they approved Tom Brady as part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. He's going to play quarterback next season. Mark my words. He'll play quarterback for 1 year. Guaranteed. 100K on the line. You guys all split it. There's 10 of you guys on here. Split it 10 ways. It's 10K a piece. I'll pay it in cash or Bitcoin. You pick. And I believe it so much because I believe I'm the only person on planet Earth that was in 3 consecutive events. I was at his last regular season game. I was at his last regular game. And I was at his first speech after retiring. I don't think anybody else in the world can say those 3 things. And he did a 2-hour interview with about 3,000 people when he did the speech. And I believe he retired when he didn't want to. I believe he felt forced by outside pressure and trying to do the right thing for his family. But if you own 5%, I think is what it's recorded, of multi-billion-dollar company, he's leveraging all his net worth basically to make this happen. How would you double the revenue instantly? He don't even have to be good. He don't have to win. Here's the thing about Vegas. You guys know that 88,000 people a day visit Vegas. Visit Vegas. A day. If you've ever been to Vegas, a lot of Asians travel there, people from all over the world. If there's 8 home games, Tom Brady's going to play 8 more games, one time in his life. They're not getting locals. They're not even getting people from LA. They're getting people from the world traveling to that game. And guess what they can charge for tickets? Any damn thing they want. They lost their butt last weekend. It was still $700 for the cheapest ticket. It'd be $7,000 if Brady's playing. Now, why is that important for us to know? Is because everyone on this call, you should have some big kind of crazy dream that's 20 years in the future. And if you're not getting up every day working towards it because you're just trying to make money, are you even living anymore? And no wonder your staff's not hungry, because you ain't hungry. And you don't have to own a team or a bunch of real estate, or it doesn't have to be something like that. But man, what is your North Star that you're chasing that everyone knows you're chasing? And somehow when you help people in the world and you tell them what you want, people feel obligated to help you. All right. And then mark my words, after he plays next year, 15 years in the future, he'll be running for president.